Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 20th of July, now it's 20 to 11 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update today, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late in the afternoon on my Patreon page, in which I will share additional news that will be reported by Russian media. And as many of you know, I do on regular basis some extra content for Patreon in attempt to generate additional interest among members of our community towards Patreon, because it's a major lifeline for this project, and I will be immensely grateful if you will consider to join my Patreon. You will see a link under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. And before I start talking about news, one more announcement. Unfortunately, I can no longer have a page on Buy Me a Coffee for donations, and reason is that I cannot withdraw funds from that platform. I was waiting for last 30 to 40 days donations to accumulate, and unfortunately I'm unable to withdraw these funds. I did write to Buy Me a Coffee's administration. Let's see what they will answer. I did not receive any strikes. My page is not banned or not blocked, so I find it difficult to understand what the hell is going on with that platform. But because of this serious issue, I will take down link to my Buy Me a Coffee's page. And if you will consider to support this project or me, please consider to do so through PayPal and by subscribing to my Patreon page, because on these platforms, on PayPal and Patreon, I did not encounter any difficulties since I create those pages. So, well, unfortunate development, of course, because I guess Buy Me a Coffee was comfortable for you to use, but well, what can I do? If I cannot withdraw funds from that platform, then there is no reason for me to keep page there. But yet again, I will try to resolve the issue if it's possible, but until then I will take down the link to my page from description box and pinned comment. That being said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with Ukrainian special military operation. And first of all, I will share with you information about missile and drone strikes on military and logistical infrastructure of Zelensky's regime during the previous night. And as I shared news on my Telegram page, during those strikes, military and logistical infrastructure of Zelensky's regime was targeted in the Dnipropetrovsk, Sumy, Kherson, Odessa, Kirovograd and Nikolaev regions. During the day, I believe Russian Defense Ministry will share additional information with public, and of course I will post that information on my Telegram, and I will share information on my Patreon also. Of course, when it comes to overall situation on the front line, Kherson region, its overall situation is still operational pause, even though some fierce fighting is taking place in local scale. And when it comes to sectors of the front, Kherson region, it's artillery duels between the sides and recon operations as usual for last quite a few weeks now. There are some units of Ukrainian forces that are still trying to hold on to some positions on the left bank of the river, but Russian side is constantly targeting those units, and basically at this stage I get feeling that these troops are basically trapped on the left bank, because Russian side is targeting day and night those forces, and we did had many video confirmations when Russian forces did strike speedboats of Ukrainian forces, not just with artillery or heavy machine gunfire, but also with the drones. and some new type of drones also have been used in Kherson region, especially to target speedboats. So it's more increasingly seems like these Ukrainian forces on the left bank are in some kind of trap. But yet again, you know my take on this situation. I think Zelensky's regime did had a plan to prepare ground in Kherson region for mass crossing of the Dnieper River, and maybe they did not yet change their plans when it comes to crossing of the Dnieper. But we will see this in coming weeks if second wave of Ukrainian counteroffensive take place on this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia in Zaporozhye and South Donetsk sectors of the front line, which is also questionable because of heavy losses on part of Ukrainian side during first stage of this so-called counteroffensive. But yet again, when it comes to sectors of the front in Zaporozhye sector, we did had reports that yesterday Zelensky's regime once again did conducted suicidal offensive operations, and there were reports that Ukrainian forces did attack Rabotina, direction of Rabotina, but this attack was repelled, and we are receiving information that was not confirmed officially, but according to some independent sources, during this offensive operations, Zelensky's regime lost at least 2 main battle tanks and 4 Bradley armored personnel carriers. And there are some reports that wounded soldiers of Ukrainian forces have been left on the fields and have not been evacuated, and well, it's quite possible that it's Russian forces that will be forced to reach to those wounded Ukrainian soldiers and just provide them with some medical assistance. Yet again, if Ukrainian artillery will allow Russian forces to conduct such a humanitarian mission on this sector of the front. But of course, during the day we will probably learn some more information in details, and I will share that information. When it comes to South Donetsk sector of the front line, there was some activity on so-called Vremovsky ledge, in which both sides are simultaneously conducting local scale offensive operations. But yet again, these local scale skirmishes are not really influencing overall situation on this sector of the front. So I will still call operational pause on Zaporozhye and South Donetsk sectors of the front. When it comes to Donetsk direction, it's usual story. Marinka, Krasnogorovka and Avdiivka main hot points, and if in Marinka and Krasnogorovka it's Russian forces that are conducting local scale offensive operations, in Avdiivka direction we did had some reports that Ukrainian forces did try to improve their positions, but without any significant success. So this city is still under operational encirclement. When it comes to Bakhmut sector of the front line, yesterday Russian sources and Ukrainian sources did report that Ukrainian forces did conduct yet another wave of local scale counteroffensive or offensive operations in this direction of Klishevka. Some fierce fighting was taking place in that area, but according to Russian sources, Ukrainian side didn't manage to improve their positions, and exactly opposite did happen. Russian forces, after repelling Ukrainian offensive operations, did begin forward movement, and establish control over the some positions that was lost during the previous week when Ukrainian forces were quite actively attacking Kurdyumovka, Klishevka sectors of the front. But yet again, it seems like Zelensky's regime did send additional reinforcements, fresh units in direction of southern flank of Bakhmut, and that's why we are seeing yet another wave of activities from Ukrainian forces. I don't know how long these fresh units will last, but my reading of big picture is that initiative anyway is shifting its hands, and it's in Russian side now, not just on the northern flank of Bakhmut, but also in the southern flank of Bakhmut. And when it comes to northern flank, it was Russian forces that were conducting offensive operations. Ukrainian side did try to attack in direction of Dubovo-Vasilievka, here this settlement, but they were repelled, and I did share on my Telegram page some video footage of those clashes between the sides. So basically, Ukrainian forces, after taking heavy casualties, stopped their offensive movements, and as I said, it's Russian forces that were conducting or improving their positions in the northern sector of the front. When it comes to Seversk, northern part of the front line from Seversk to Kupiansk, as I mentioned many times before, initiative is completely in Russian hands, and we did have the reports that yesterday afternoon Russian forces did manage to establish control over the settlement of Molchanova, over the settlement of Molchanova, which is basically not that much of a settlement, but it's a railroad station, but with strategic meaning. Small settlement, we can say, small settlement, and railway station. And this is, by the way, Kharkov. This is Kharkov region, Kupiansk direction, and well, if you are regular on this channel, then you know that I was saying for quite a while now that according to my reading, at least, of a big picture, it seems like Russian forces have not just initiative in the northern sectors of the front from Seversk to Kupiansk and Kharkov region, but it seems like Russian forces are planning or preparing ground for large-scale offensive operation, and in foreseeable future, definitely before end of this summer, we will probably see large-scale, truly large-scale offensive operations of Russian forces in this direction. And this is it. This is it for a quick summary of the situation on the front line. Now let's talk about some other news. And by the way, RIA Novosti is reporting based on Vladimir Rogov, who is head of NGO We Are With Russia from Zaporozhye region, according to which Russian side successfully managed to repel Ukrainian counteroffensive, Ukrainian offensive operation in direction of Rabotina. I just spoke about it a few minutes ago, and even though Rogov himself are not talking about military equipment of Zelensky's regime that was destroyed by Russian forces. As I mentioned, there are many reports on different Telegram channels, big names in Russian blogosphere, that at least 2 tanks were destroyed, 2 Ukrainian tanks were destroyed, possibly Leopard 2 tanks, and 4 Bradley armored personnel carriers. But yet again, let's wait for some time. I believe during the day we will see video and photo confirmation of these battles. Let me continue now, and very tragic news from Crimea. Zelensky's regime did conduct drone strike on northern part of Crimean Peninsula, and as a result of this drone strike, a teenage girl was killed. Tragic development, of course, but yet again, this information once again highlights what kind of people Zelensky and his associates are, because why they are shelling civilian areas? I mean, you tell me why, if they are adequate people. But they are not. They are, we all know what they are, man. It's hard to comment this news without emotions. I mean, it's RIA Novosti is also reporting that Russian airborne troops did manage to destroy Ukrainian forces that were trying to conduct offensive operations in direction of Bakhmut. I just mentioned this episode also, and you can see some video footage of those clashes on my Telegram page. As I said, initiative in the central and the northern parts of the front line is in Russian hands, and maybe Zelensky's regime is able to send some additional troops or reinforcements in direction of southern flank of Bakhmut, and they may still have some possibilities to at least try to improve their positions, but it's already more than months since these constant waves of Ukrainian local scale offensives began in Bakhmut direction, and they don't really manage to achieve any significant, more or less significant success. Let me continue, and well, this is also interesting. Andrei Marochko, military expert from LPR, Lugansk People's Republic, did also spoke about battles in the Kupiansk sector of the front line, and he said that Russian forces did manage to establish bridgehead in this direction of Kharkov region, and Russian forces are preparing ground for further offensive operations, which is exactly what I was talking about for quite a while now. And it seems like my reading of picture was correct, but yet again, let's wait and see if Russian forces will conduct large-scale offensive operation in direction of in the northern sectors of the front, from Seversk to Kupiansk and Kharkov region entirely. And next news is reported by TASS News Agency. I will try to make this video as short as possible. Also, it's already 17 minutes, so there are quite a few interesting news left. So TASS News Agency is reporting that Russian forces in Kharkov region did manage to establish control over the railway station Molchanova. I also spoke about this this information, and during the previous 12 to 24 hours, as a result of this local scale clashes between the sides, Ukrainian forces lost up to 70 military personnel and quite a few military equipment. Next information is also from TASS News Agency, and this time we have statement from official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, who once again excuse me, commented on rumors that are circulating not just on different channels on internet, but also in media outlets, that there were some negotiations between Moscow and Washington about future of Ukraine, and Maria Zakharova once again denied this information, and she said that there are no talks about there are no negotiations between Moscow and Washington about fate of Ukraine, but well, maybe there are no negotiations between Moscow and Washington in high level, in top level, but I believe there should be some channels of communication between the nuclear powers. It has to be, isn't it? And probably at some level, some discussions are taking place about not just fate of Ukraine, but about ways that this crisis can be or maybe resolved in the future. But yet again, Maria Zakharova denies any negotiations, any talks between the sides, and I guess in this denial she means that, and this is my interpretation of her words, she means that there is no talks on high level of between high representatives of two governments. But some channels of communication definitely should exist. It's just necessary in any case. Let me continue, and RIA Novosti is reporting, and this is, by the way, also very important news, and I did share this information on my Telegram page also, that Russia will receive any ships that will try to enter Ukrainian ports or leave Ukrainian ports as a participant in this conflict on part of Ukraine, on part of Zelensky's regime, and it will be considered as a legitimate military target, and this is a very serious development, especially because of this attempt from Zelensky's regime to provoke some countries to continue this grain deal even without guarantees from Russia, guarantees of security. And there are many reports on many different media outlets that countries one by one are stating on different levels that they will not participate in this type of operation that Zelensky and his associates want. They would not send their merchant ships to Ukrainian ports, and they would not send their military vessels to convoy these merchant ships. At least that's information that we are getting from different media outlets for now. But same time, there were some reports on Russian segment of internet that Zelensky's regime, together with military intelligence of or secret services of United Kingdom, are developing plan to use a few ships as a provocation, to send a few ships and to Ukrainian ports, and then see how Moscow will react. And if Moscow will target these ships, then use this as a one more reason to conduct anti-Russian hysteria in media, especially in Western media. And if Russian side will let those ships to go through, then they will just carry on like they did during the grain deal, and they will send grain and all the other goods that was exported from Ukraine thanks to grain deal, and they will probably receive military equipment and ammunition like Zelensky's regime was receiving from these ships that was entering Ukrainian waters, Ukrainian ports. But yet again, this is just rumors. If we will see any development like that, then well, we will know that this was a plan that was created by UK's and Ukraine's secret services and governments. And by the way, this morning and yesterday afternoon, information was circulating also in Russian segment of internet that about 10 ships are now in ports of Ukraine, and not all of them did flee Ukrainian waters. So it will be interesting how will Russia react if those ships will try now to leave Ukrainian ports. Let me continue. This is TASS News Agency's report. Quite interesting information. U.S. military instructor in the Ukraine did give an interview to Newsweek magazine, and he did spoke during this interview that in last 3 months losses on on Ukrainian side tripled as a result of fierce fighting. And basically, according to this information, this former US military that is now operating as an instructor in Ukraine is, I mean, he's terrified by scenery that he's have seen in Ukraine because of these so many casualties and fierce fighting between the sides. Maybe this former US soldier never seen battles like this in his military career, because fighting in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in other places were very different from what is going on in Ukraine. Let me continue now, and this is the TASS News Agency's report. Basically, I did spoke about this information quite a few times before, because it was known for a while now that US were planning to deliver to Zelensky's regime yet another military aid package, this time for $1.3 billion, and it's official now. TASS News Agency is reporting that announcement about deliveries, new military aid have been made in Washington, and this time Zelensky's regime will receive not just air defense systems and ammunition for artillery, but also kamikaze drones, and armored personnel carriers. But yet again, nothing new when it comes to U.S. activity towards Zelensky's regime. Unfortunately, U.S. taxpayers gonna pay for prolongation of this conflict, which will generate even more destruction and even more casualties, unfortunately. Let's continue. This is RIA Novosti's report, according to which, and this is also important information that broke out yesterday, according to which Russian President Vladimir Putin will not participate in upcoming BRICS summit in South Africa in person, but he will participate by video call, video communication, which is a right decision, I believe, because and right decision and friendly decision towards South Africa, because we all understand that if Putin will visit South Africa, then local government of this country will be, the state will be in quite difficult situation and under immense pressure from the Western elites. And with this decision from Putin, he is definitely easing the pressure on government of South African Republic, which is yet again it's a right move and predictable move, really. And I believe Russian side will be represented on the ground by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Let me continue, and this is TASS News Agency's report that Protestants, there were some serious protests in Baghdad, in Iraq, during the previous days because of yet another instance of issuing the right for protest in Sweden to burn Quran, copy of Quran. And people in Iraq get very angry because of this, and they enter basically Swedish Embassy, and there are some reports that they did burn down that embassy. Some significant damage was done for sure. And at least for this moment, there are no reports about casualties among staff of Swedish Embassy. But these constant provocations from Stockholm eventually did did provoke such a response, did generate such a response from people in many different states. And in Iraq it went as far as breaking into Swedish Embassy. And well, hopefully staff of embassy is okay, but yet again responsibility lies on Stockholm, not just on Baghdad and security forces of Iraq. They should protect embassy in any case, but responsibility lies on Stockholm also, and Swedish government. Am I right? Stockholm is the capital of Sweden, isn't it? Yes, of course. Wow. Sometime, I mean, you may forget even simple stuff. So let me continue now. Few more topics. How long is this update? 30 minutes. Okay, a few more topics. Well, RIA Novosti is reporting that Finland did make decision to shut down Russian general consulate in Turku. That's a city in Finland. Well, just recently, Russian side did shut down Finnish General Consulate of Finland in St. Petersburg, I believe. Now Finland is canceling Russian General Consulate in Turku. Of course, Russian side will respond one way or another. Then Finland will respond, Finnish elites, and unfortunately, relationships between the sides are deteriorating day by day. Really, and well, I can only feel sorry for citizens of Russia and Finland because of this. After all, relationships between Moscow and Helsinki was, if not great, then quite good, even during the Cold War era. But now, relationships are probably on the lowest level since the Second World War, which is of course unfortunate. Let me continue. This is Kommersant newspapers report about quite interesting stuff that Xi Jinping, Chinese leader, had a meeting with Henry Kissinger. And when I see this information, I was kind of surprised. I mean, we all know Henry Kissinger, former secretary of State Department of US, is a influential figure in among true rulers, let's say, of the Western world. But probably I was somewhat, well, I was surprised. Let me say this way, that he's so important still that Xi Jinping did give him time and spend time to talk to this war criminal and mass murderer. For God's sake, we should never forget that Henry Kissinger is a mass murderer. So, well, it is what it is, man. This world is run by very, very strange people, to say the least. And Kissinger probably are among those people that are almost untouchable. I don't know, but I was surprised that this person is still so influential that Chinese leader did find it necessary to have a talk with him. And let me continue and this is TASS news agency's report, according to which, and by the way, this report is based on information of NBC, a US media outlet, and according to this information, US Justice Ministry come up with 3 more allegations towards Trump, former US president, and all these allegations are about 6th of January and entering of crowd in Capitoli. Well, yet again, we are seeing time after time, we are seeing attempts from Biden's administration to use state institutions to somehow cut off Trump from presidential campaign. And I'm afraid if they were unable to do it with this type of actions by generating some charges against Trump, then some fake charges. Let's be clear here, because Trump has nothing to do with this story, and I believe this crowd was provoked to enter Capitoli by FBI informants. At least that's information that many independent channels are receiving. So what Trump has to do with this? I mean, nothing, isn't it? But yet again, I'm afraid if current, and if there's neoliberals and neocons and current administration of US won't be able to cut off Trump from presidential campaign by these fake allegations, then they may take some more drastic measures, including I don't want to talk about it, but well, Trump should increase its security, because U.S. has quite a tradition of when U.S. presidents were killed, and there were many attempts to assassinate U.S. presidents, also, including former presidents. So who knows what Biden's administration and neoliberals are capable of to make sure that they will keep White House for themselves and keep Trump out of it. And this is going to be last news for today's update. TASS news agency is reporting that according to Russian Ministry of Finances, federal budget will income to federal budget in 2023-2024 will increase significantly. And well, when I see this information, I was quite happy, to be honest, because well, after so many sanctions and after so much pressure that was imposed on Russia by Western elites, we do need some good news about financial system of the state, about budget, about economy. And when I see this information, I was glad. Unfortunately, there are no details, no detailed information in numbers. But if Ministry of Finances are expecting increase in federal budget income, then I guess they have some good reasoning for it, which is great, great news. So yes, this is it for now. I'm gonna end this update, and well, 38 minutes, not too long. And well, by the way, if you find this update interesting, please click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like. More likes and comments definitely make change and definitely influence algorithm, so that I will have an opportunity to reach wider audience. And if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. And if you think this channel is interesting, useful, and deserves to exist, please consider to support through PayPal or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. Thank you very much for your attention and support. Have a great day and take care. See you soon.